This was from quite a while ago. I've got, let's see how we're getting this. Let me get on the sunny side of this. I just realized I'm in the shade again, so we'll redo our shot here. So my thinking is, okay, this is a Bosch, like industrial series flashlight, 18 volt, old technology, NiCad batteries. This isn't the original battery, this is an aftermarket battery, but these were called the Blue Core. Good heavy duty NiCad battery. They worked really well. I've got a few power tools that use them. Obviously anything now is nickel metal hydrate, and then the newer ones are lithium. But you can find these really cheap because nobody thinks they're any good. They work well. Okay. What I did is I put another one of these barrel jacks. I took the flashlight apart, figured out a spot I could put it in the handle. That can then wire power something else. Because once you've got, like say if you got this battery, you can hook up alligator clips to here, figure out which one is positive, negative. They're actually usually labeled. This one's positive, this one's negative. So you clip onto there, you got power coming out, but it's kind of messy. By doing this, charge the battery, I've got the barrel jack on there. What I can do then, make sure the light is off first, turn off the dimmer. Now this, with the dimmer, can plug into here. Now I've got a nice dimmable, let's see, turn this on. I'm not going to run full 18 volts because I don't want to kill it. But if you turn it down until the point, or turn it up slowly, I'm going to get behind the camera so I can just see if this is showing up well. Alright, so now if I get it in the shade, you can kind of see a weird pattern going on there. Alright, so brighter, brighter, brighter. Okay, I don't want to turn it full bright because I don't want to kill it. But I can dim it right out again. If I'm running too much power in but I turn the dimmer halfway, it's not going to overvolt these lights because these dimmers are running at very high frequency. I've heard 20,000, I don't know if that's true or not, times per second. So that doesn't give the LED time to wig out basically. Okay, that's actually full bright. I'll turn it back down again. Off. Alright. The way I set this up, that switch isn't, or that jack is on all the time. It's not tied to the switch. That might be a nice addition, is to wire a switch here somewhere that I can turn the jack on or off. But what I had this done with, pretty much since I moved in the bus, because I did this back in Austin, I had a set of LED lights coming off of here into a dimmer like this. So it went from the light, or from the flashlight, into here, out of here, to a strip of LEDs, and I could turn it down so when I was working I had just enough light to see my keyboard at the laptop and not have so much light that it was blinding me. And it's nice to have low light, especially out here. It's so dark outside, you don't need very much light to see. And my nearest neighbor is about half a mile away or so, maybe a quarter mile, depending which way you look. There is no lights out here at all except for the lights that I turn on. That means every bug within half a mile is coming towards the light. If I have very dim light, I only get a few bugs. If I have lots of light, the bugs are just thick in here. So, note to self, run a dimmer, turn your lights down to just what you need, you get less bugs. Plus, added bonus, your batteries last longer. Okay? Longer is good. What I want to do, because this actually fits really nice, if I take the front off this flashlight, the front lens, this just screws right off. Alright. Look at that. Alright. So, clunk. I'm thinking get rid of this bulb entirely, because these have never been very impressive. It's an idiot-proof light. Why would they do that to me? There it is. Alright. Smarter than the average idiot. Alright, I was hoping this would go easier, but it didn't, so we'll do it the hard way. This light I've already taken apart once when I wired this jack. I was hoping I'd have enough slack from taking the front off to get to the wire, but it's just inside. I don't think I'm going to be able to solder that because I can't even strip it. in there. So we'll do it the other way. This one, because I took it apart once before, a lot of this complicated stuff on the front, it's supposed to have a focusing beam. Never was really impressed with that. So when we get it done, we'll put it all back together like that. This light has Torx screws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The sides come apart, and then you can get this head off. All right. So that's the direction we're going to go now. Sad but true. I was hoping this would be quick, but life. So that's probably a Torx 15. Oh yeah, all the Torx I have are security bits on here. Interesting. That's probably too small. Oh, maybe not. I don't mind using a security bit. Yeah, that'll work. Alright. I just don't feel like walking back to grab my other screwdriver right now. So I marked L on a few of these. I think that means that those are the long screws, and you need to know which ones are the long ones when you put it back together. Alright? So just be thinking about that instead of me trying to lay these out in some kind of pattern, which I sometimes, I'll do that anyway. I'll lay them out in a pattern so I can kind of put them back in quicker. But I also know which ones are long. This is kind of a slick hack, really. And you can do this for all kinds of stuff because power tools have really good batteries if you get the good name brands. Right? But adapting something to them is kind of tricky. So it's probably the simplest to buy a kit with a tool and a battery and a charger, and then make your own special gizmo, or something like this, like with the flashlight. If you can wire a jack right into the tool, then you use the tool to power your gizmo, right? Because then you've got a well-developed charger and battery system that has power management built into it. Okay. If you're on a lithium battery, overcharge or undercharge, that's usually when the bad things happen. Either you destroy the cell or you catch it on fire. And lithium battery fires are famous for being bad. So that way you use, a company has already developed a nice charger system for you and your battery. You're just hacking into it a little bit. Also, side note, you're on your own if you try to take something like this through TSA for air travel. If it looks like you've taken your flashlight apart, they probably won't let you fly with it. Just a thought. There we go. Oh yeah, hot glue. I have been here before. That's all there is to it, right? So you just open it up, boom, there it is, all your wire. This is the part that connects to the battery. If you took this out, you could snap it right onto the battery. But having the whole tool together gives you something for the battery to click and lock into. That makes it really handy. This one will go through the switch back here. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to pull these wires out. That was what was going in. Pull these out through the hole. And I needed longer leads, so what I can do now, I'll just cut and strip this. This was what held the light bulb in, and I broke it, so it's pretty much toast. This spring was just to let it adjust in and out. Now I got a nice spring for something else. Never throw anything away, you never know when you need it. Also, a spare battery for this light that I don't need anymore. I'm going to put it in the box and then I'll find my other, because I got 3 of these. I'm sure I need one spare bulb for something. Strip the wire. And also notice I took the battery out, so I don't have to worry about arcing on anything. 18 volts, not the end of the world, but no sense blowing up a battery if you can help it. What we'll do, should have grabbed some heat shrink, did not, oh well. I buy a heat shrink and then I always forget I have it. So, like for instance, in here already, there's some heat shrink, and then I ended up taping it anyway for some reason. Okay, the black one. Oh, switch on. Red glow. Okay, black. I was really excited when I got my hot glue gun, just for this kind of project, because when you get it all done, shoot a bunch of glue in there to kind of lock everything in place. It seemed like a great idea, and then I had a few things fail because the hot glue melted, not because of the heat inside. It was just so stinking hot here in Texas that the glue just melted. It was weird. Which, I guess, you know, if you think about it, hot glue works because it's melted. So when you get up close to that temperature, the glue gets soft. So when you ponder it for a moment, kind of makes sense. Okay, we're going to solder these up. Find the hot side. Oh, did I just shut that off? Or am I out of gas? No, we're out of gas. Alright. Alright, we're back. Cooking with gas. Alright, now I just talked all about flux, so see if I can get some flux on there. Sometimes Q-tips are really handy for this kind of thing. A little bit on the lid, I'll just blob it on there and then it'll burn and kind of do its thing. Mainly just smoke and make a mess. But that's okay. Alright, now solder, hot, smoke. Nothing magical about solder, it's just a melting metal, but as it cools it gets nice and hard and keeps your wire from falling apart. So if you twist it together first and then solder it, that sucker ain't going to go anywhere. That'll be fine. Good. Now, let that cool down to less than smoking. Trim off the ends. What I'm doing, I kind of look for sharp points that are sticking out. That'll poke right through your electrical tape. So if you can get rid of that. Oops, drop that right down the side. Ah, it fell apart. Not a big deal. I won't say I did that on purpose, but it doesn't bother me too much. Now I got more room to tape. So this light now will have an external power jack for powering other accessories, and it'll have an internal permanent, essentially, LED element for its own light. What I'm tempted to do is see if I can't put a dimmer in here, which would be a pretty trick. Let me ponder that for a moment. If I can figure out a place to put it up in the head where I can have a dimmer sticking out the top, how cool would that be? Say for instance you're out camping and you take one of these lights with you. First of all your friends are going to think you're a nerd. That's a good thing though, don't worry. Eventually your friends will work for you. If you're into that kind of thing, I'm not. So, rather than needing 14 batteries and chargers, if you just want a little glow light, you know, inside your tent, you know, because you like watching the bugs try to get into it or something. Fingers are sticky. Flux. Alright, so here's the plan. I'm going to wash my hands. Can I make this fit inside of here such that it sticks out the top? Or just graft it in there somewhere? That's the trick. Stay tuned! One other thought while I'm thinking of it. Some of you are wondering, is this 18-volt battery going to mess with my dimmer? Hopefully not. This is rated 12 to 24 volts. 18 is right in between that, so we should be okay. So what I'm looking to do here, keep in mind we're outside and the wind blows everything away. What I'm thinking if I take the circuit board out of here completely, find a spot that it can live happily, then I can dim the output. I'll just left that on again. Turn that off. So, stage one, I'm going to open this one up, same as all the other ones. And I'm going to save all the parts that I take out of here for other future projects. Oh, that's the Torx tip. That won't work. Don't lose that. So I'm going to take this guy apart. Oh, which means I need my gas on. See, that one, I didn't have to relight it. It just lit itself. So if you're quick, you don't have to keep lighting it, which it's a piezo lighter. It's not a big deal. It's just, you know, one more awesome thing that you don't have to do. This is when I'm wondering if the wind is going to kick up and blow all my stuff away, but so far everything out here is heavy, so that helps. Alright, cover. I think if I just pull this knob off, yeah, how about that? Okay, in the case we can put aside, we don't need it. So all I really need is make a hole for that to stick out. That's a friction fit. Heck yeah, that makes it easy. Now the trick is, can I get this into a spot that I like? Otherwise it won't work. I don't really want it sticking out. It would be really slick if I can get it in there. This middle part doesn't serve any purpose anymore. Just saying. And this part doesn't really do anything either, so we can pretty much gut this whole inside. Then I can get this in, come out through the top, anywhere. Right on top would be kind of cool. Remove the leads. Here's my note, I'm going to put that down. Let's see. We won't do that yet. Turn off the gas. Now we get to the series part. I'm going to pretty much cut all this plastic out. So that requires some hand tools. We'll come back. Alright, if you notice that we moved, congratulations for paying attention. I just had so many things sitting on that other workbench, I didn't want to knock them all off. So I'm going to see if I can't hold this in a vise somehow. The vise may not be up to the task. Nope, it will not be. Alright, never mind. That. And we've got dikes and snips. I need to remove a lot of plastic, like up here. I don't know if this is fragile or not. If I had a good bit on a Dremel, that would be a pretty good idea. I really don't right now. Also, this is made out of ABS, which is recyclable. I'm not going to turn it in for recycling, but I am going to save the pieces. Like so. Alright, back again. Let me speed this up a little bit. So the thinking is, if you know what kind of plastic it is, ABS in this case, you can recycle it. There's a project called PreciousPlastics.com. Yeah, it's working out well. I'm just going to grind that piece off. So PreciousPlastics.com, the guy figured out the process of melting plastics down and reusing, making things out of them on a global scale, such that local entrepreneurs could build the machines. He's tested and developed them pretty much. open source the whole thing, so you can go on the website, download the plans for free. There's a forum of other people that are like-minded, and they're just going crazy with it. So if you know, the trick is to know what kind of plastic you're working with, and then you can figure out the temperature that it melts at without burning it. Once you've melted it, so like this thing, if I was just not going to use it at all, I'd throw it in the grinder, and so he made a plastic grinder that breaks these down into nice small pieces, you know, about this big actually. Once you've broken it down, then you can melt it and put it into a mold and make a new part. Okay. More for small scale production. You're not going to put the big plastic guys in China out of business, but if you look at how much plastic is wasted and thrown away, you've got endless supply of raw material that if you can identify it, you can reuse it. And a lot of the plastics are easily melted down, and you can remake something with virtually no loss. Just your time. It's time consuming is the problem. That's why big industry isn't doing it. You have to be able to identify every kind of plastic. They all melt at a different temperature. You know, so if you try to mix plastics, it doesn't work. So you have to identify them and separate them. And so that part is kind of clunky. But if you know, for instance, that a milk jug is the right kind of plastic, just look for all the milk jugs and base your whole company or hobby, if you want to go out at a hobby scale. Just ask all your friends for all their old milk jugs. And, you know, Christmas time, make them a set of funnels or something like that. Really, that could work. All right, back to destruction. I should also say that I like this flashlight. I'm not just killing it because I don't like it. I'm making it better. It's a pretty color of blue. So far there has been no bloodshed. It's a good day. I was mentioning earlier buying a drill or a kit just specifically for the batteries. Adam Savage did that, the guy from Mythbusters. For one of his spacesuit projects, he wanted to put a blower in. So he goes out and buys I think it was a Robi, whatever you say. He bought the drill just for the battery and the charger. And he got to using it, and he ended up liking it, so then he had to go buy another one. And so then he had, you know, a few of them, and then once you got more than one, you end up buying the whole kit. So yeah, we're on to you. You guys that make tools, and all the batteries are not interchangeable with your competitors. Yeah. I understand. But if you can make a universal battery, hello. Alright, let me go grab the dimmer and see how we're doing. The destruction might be finished already. Okay, so this is the dimmer. Probably going to set it so the leads are forward. Oh yeah, that's easy. I'm going to go just a little bit more since we're here. That'll work. Now, instead of using the stiffer bit, I'm going to use an appropriate size drill bit. I want to be able to get this thing to sit where I want it. Probably a 1/4 inch. 7/16. Bigger. Probably a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to have the leads from the front. center line. Let's try it there. Start slow. That was actually a selling point for this drill. I thought it was funny at the time, but the whole kit, because they used a softer plastic, these don't shatter when you drop them. They actually will flex a little bit. It's definitely more open in there now. All right, so fits inside nice and neat. That sticks up a little more than I'd like. I might trim this bevel off a little bit and shorten it up. The idea is about right though. Alright, we're back. So, save my plastic for later. But I'm thinking, probably I'll put this together the best I can, leave it like this, maybe just leave the knob off for now because I can twist it pretty easy by just with my fingers. That's likely to get lost, so we'll save that. Alright, we'll label this guy as it is now. This is output because that's wrong. So minus, plus, plus, minus. This is the black PWM dimmer. Okay. Now that I've written it down, I can relax and not worry about losing it. Gas on, fire. Good. There you go. Okay, now these will come through here. Solder that on for input. Strippers. I'm going to leave these nice and long for future projects. A blob of flux. Figured I was going to twist that before I soldered it. Oh well. Off the smoke. Now the nice thing with this is I'm using the flashlight's original switch, so I can always turn it off completely if I need to. Wrong one. Output. Output goes to the light, not the battery. Done. Now, before I put it all completely back together, just because, let's power it up and see what happens. Right now it's off, the battery goes in, you can kind of see how this actually clips in. When it clips in, that clip right here meets up to the battery. Like so. Now, keeping the wires separate, turn the switch on. See a flicker. A lot of these PWMs will flicker once, even if they're not on. I'm not sure why. If we turn this, click it on. There's on. There we go. This is off, and then we'll turn the main switch off. Then we'll disconnect the battery. Safety first and whatnot. Okay, I'm going to put the body together first, because I know that part works. And the body will help hold this head in place for me. There it is. Okay, using the Torx tip, I labeled the long and the shorts screws. I'm going to line them up and see which ones look like they're longer than the other ones. Okay, 3 longs, 3 L's. Yep, that's good. Put the long ones in first so we don't end up with a long one later. 2 problems there. If you manage to jam the long one in a short hole, then your short one isn't long enough to grip. Vice versa. With the short one in the long hole, it might tighten up, but it won't be gripping enough, and it'll strip out or it'll break later. This is really the sign of an actual professional tool, I think, that they didn't go out of their way to make it hard to take apart. If you're on a job site and your light breaks, you could fix this on your lunch break and be right back working again. Same way with the tools, the power tools. The professional grade tools are made to be disassembled. You can replace the brushes if it's a brush motor, that kind of thing. You get some of the cheaper stuff, it's all snapped together, you break it trying to get it apart, and you got nothing. And then you go back to Walmart or Sears and buy another one. Maybe not Sears, because Craftsman, lifetime warranty, I think they're still doing that. But you buy a cheaper knockoff tool, it may not be made to be disassembled. You spend more money on a professional grade tool, but it may cost you twice as much or 5 times as much. But if you're making money with it, that's a Phillips screw, so that's from something else. It's nice if you can rebuild the tool yourself. In fact, most of these Bosch tools that I have were factory reconditioned, so they got sent back, rebuilt, and then I bought them for about half of retail, which is cool. Okay, this is the last one for here. The other 2 screws were to hold this anodized piece into the plastic that we removed with great vigor. So this will just slide into here. Jam it in there, like so. Suck that wire down. This end, I'm going to electrically tape that so they don't touch. What would be a wonderful solution to this is just a big old puddle of epoxy to fill that whole chamber up. Or expanding film, that might be an idea. I have some of that. I wanted to lock everything in place so it doesn't move. That might be fun. That insulation foam. It's super sticky from being hot. It's sticking to my fingers. The residue is breaking down basically, or the adhesive is breaking down. Alright, now, if that sits in place like so, oh, we're missing a whole part. That's what's wrong. Ah! Oh, I wish I hadn't soldered that on here. This part screws onto here. This lens screws onto the front of here. Now, how does that screw on there, I wonder? Oh. Okay, now I gotta unsolder that again, because that wire is supposed to go through that hole. Alright, one more time. Oh, this might be a problem. This piece friction fits on here, and it was supposed to have screwed into this piece somehow. Huh, that might be a problem. So if I can put, the other thing, I'd love to put this on here, just because it spreads the light out so nice. I don't really need a long focus light, I need a light that lights up the area nice. It's completely not the right size though. It's close. Somebody said this was going to be easy, right? I didn't say it. Gently. So what did you do on your day off? Oh, I threatened myself with a knife and cut a flashlight in pieces. Power tools. I'll come back later. Stay tuned. Yes, it did take a while. But by going around in circles with the rotary bit, the same one I used to decimate the inside, I was able to remove enough material from the black such that this snapped into place. I almost threaded it on, and then I just kind of pushed it down hard and it snapped and it's locked in there now. I'm okay with that. I think that's kind of a cool addition. So now I don't need this piece, and I don't need this piece. And let's see, this will screw onto here still. That's the important thing, is that part still works. I can remove that. Nice. So, what I'm thinking, I'm going to fish the wire through the hole, use a little bit of double-sided tape on this to stick it in here, and then we're good to go. So, this part, yeah, that part's a little bit of a problem. It snaps on, but it doesn't lock on. It's got a good friction fit though. It's also got an O-ring that holds it in place. I'm going to solder these back on, going through the hole. And then this will just fit. Oh, I thought that would fit inside. Wow. How funny. That just barely fits there. I thought it would fit inside that. It's right on the edge. I could probably take a little bit of material off and get it to sit in there. Or, I wonder if this would be good enough. Oops. Do not cross thread the plastics. We're talking literally a millimeter probably. in sometimes. It's right there. This is beyond silly, the amount of work I'm putting into this, but this was an idea that's been in the making. I actually modified another one of these lights to use a different LED, and I had to find a resistor to bring the voltage down, which is the old way. You put a big ass resistor on there which generates heat, but it brings your voltage down. By using the PWM, we're not really generating, well, I guess we're probably generating some heat, but the idea is it's more, I don't know, I'm not even sure if I can say that it's a more correct way to do it, but it's much cooler, more awesome. Not cooler. Let's level this thing out a little bit. Gently. Yeah, a little blob of silicone or glue or something. I'm trying to fix this. That might work. It's basically in place now. That looks like it belongs there. That's kind of the fun part. You get it done and it almost is like, oh, which part did you do? It looks like it all fits. That's the awesome part. Okay, I'm going to pre-solder these tabs again because black one first. Wait, red one first. A little bit of cleanup. Now, it's alive! So excited I have to kick my tripod again. Dimmer, off, on, and brighten. Switch off, switch on, switch off, switch on. 99% of the world could not appreciate how awesome this is. Thank you for watching. Oh, what a pain in the ass. That makes me giggle. Okay, so this is at the front of the bus. I've got a master switch for the circuit, and then I've got a dimmer on each of the three lights that are actually active right now. So if I can get the right one, because I haven't labeled them yet. Yeah, there we go. So coming in the front door, like if I'm bringing in groceries, I could turn that on. I just want to leave a little bit of an area light for going in and out, I could do that. I can shut it off on the dimmer. This one I also left the inline switch in since it was already here. Oops, tilt right there. So I can just shut this one off from here. Okay, and that's controlled from the master switch. Now, I mentioned earlier, oh, here's our light already. Where's the switch? Right there. Wow, awesome. That light is there because it used to wire into this switch, right like that. I'll even do it. Okay. And here's the dimmer switch that I mentioned. Okay. So if you look here, that light is on. And switch off, switch on. Dim, bright. Okay. Now, I've moved everything a little bit so that light isn't really where I want it. I want it over there. So I could move it, but if you notice, this is still wired with alligator clips. I never finished it. It's literally, oh, here, I'll show you. It's LED strips stuck to a piece of foam core with a couple of wires and alligator clips making it work. Okay, so yeah, kind of ghetto. It was just good enough that day 6 months ago. Never has been improved. Okay, now you can see that light is on. It's coming off of this switch here. That's the master switch for the 3 lights that I'm talking about. Roll the chair so I don't run into it. That one is coming off of another dimmer. And that gives me a nice task lighting over the desk here when I'm typing and stuff. And so I do all my typing and video editing here. Also, that circuit has, when that circuit is on, I've got an LED voltmeter in line with that. What I did is I soldered a short pigtail together with 4 barrel jacks all kind of gaggled together and then wrapped with electrical tape. Not proud of it, but it works. So that's probably flickering for you, but it shows 13.0 right now. That's battery voltage. Okay, so when I'm using that light, I've got a voltmeter on that I can see. I also have another voltmeter up here off the switch box that's tied to another switch. Right there, that one shows 12.9. They're usually within 1/10 of a volt. They're coming from the same batteries. It just doesn't show exactly the same. All right. So if I've got this switch on, which is labeled backup cutoff, these are surplus switches. I never bothered to relabel them. So if this switch is on, my main area lights are on, and I can see how much battery voltage I got. It's sun time. Sun is still out, so I'm still under charge, so I'm showing 13 volts. Then, moving further back, since I've got that circuit on, this is one of the thin lights that I just basically gutted. Wherever it is, let's see. There it is. And I used some double-sided sticky tape and just mounted it to the ceiling, so it's literally 1/8 of an inch thick. So let's see, which one is that? How about this one? There we go. Full bright. Bring it down, and that's kind of over where the coffee maker is. So I could have some just simple moonlight here almost, just so I can go over, get a cup of coffee and come back, or I can just turn it off. And all 3 of those dimmers are right above the laptop, so if I'm sitting down and I realize I left a light on, I can turn it off from back there. The only real problem I've got with my lighting right now is when I first come in the bus, here's where my main switch bank is, and that's the front of the bus, so I got to come all the way back. So I got to, one, make sure I try not to leave something in the aisle too much. But when I first come in the dark, the outside motion light trips, and that gives me a little bit of spill in here so I can see my way. And then from here I can get this switch and turn it on. I also have my flashlight hanging down from the ceiling there, so when I first come in I can grab that and find my way back. So it's not so bad really. Cool. Lights. Lights off. Done.